I predict that you're going to be hearing the words Upstream, Blarney, and Fairview in the context of the NSA whistleblower Snowden, Greenwald, The Guardian, Washington Post, because based on my research, it's obvious to me that before Snowden joined the NSA, before he joined the CIA, he was already offended, bothered, suspicious of government snooping. It appears that he already had his conclusions in mind before he got his hands on the evidence, or I should say, before he put his thumb drive on the evidence. I have a theory as to how this could have happened. He may have been eased into his position. He is young. He doesn't have formal education. He's described as an IT wizard, an IT genius. That doesn't make him trustworthy. Nevertheless, I maintain that Snowden was right when he said that the government was engaging in a massive surveillance program composed of more parts than what you've been told, composed of more parts than what you're aware of. The internet service providers all issued disclaimers, denials, almost worded the same way, saying that the NSA does not have access to our servers. They never asked for access to our servers, except under court order, and that is to gather information on specific individuals. But if you'll notice in this slide that Snowden turned over to the Washington Post and to the Guardian, I believe, at least to the Washington Post and probably to the Guardian as well. It mentions the Upstream programs, Blarney, Fairview, and two others that have been redacted. This does not entail permission from the service providers such as AOL and Microsoft and Google. Under this program, or these four programs called the Upstream programs, data is extracted directly from the fiber optic cable itself, which, if done ethically and legally, would involve getting the permission of the owner of that cable, which could be Verizon or AT&T or some other owner of the fiber optic backbone. This would be a extensive, pervasive, broad, sweeping collection of data. And the denials by the internet service providers is thereby irrelevant. Who needs a back door when you have access to the cable itself? Who needs to connect to a server when you have access to the backbone internet cable itself? And here's what I'm thinking. Obama has this tool in his toolbox, the ability to access the internet itself and extract whatever he wants. whenever he wants and to collect whatever information and store it to be used at some other time. If Obama thought that he would not be in office in a couple of years, which of course he won't, and if he thought one of his fellow travelers would not be in office, would not replace him, and continue to have access to this tool in his toolbox that could be abused and used to spy on political enemies and to silence political enemies, much as the IRS did in their targeting of groups that applied for tax-exempt status. The leftists are extremely active on the internet, and they were the first to be active on the internet. The right-wingers are just now beginning to play catch-up, and they've got a long way to go. The lefties embraced the internet early on and mastered it early on and realized its usefulness as a tool to propagate information and to instigate action, to silence their enemies and to instigate activism among the allies, their allies. The lefties have always been ahead of the curve, aware of the usefulness of the internet, just as they were aware of the usefulness of media control, issuing talking points to various media outlets. So they basically were all reading from the same playbook and playing the same plays in a coordinated fashion. If they put Snowden into place for the purpose of revealing these programs, they failed at this point to emphasize the prime usefulness of the upstream methods. I believe they will correct this mistake. That's why I say in the future, in the next few weeks and months, you're going to be hearing about Blarney and Fairview and the other upstream programs.